Okay, grab your coffee, colleagues, and let's just dive right into this explainer. If you're anything like me, you've probably been racking your brain trying to figure out how to squeeze all these new AI tools into our lesson plans, right? I mean, without completely overwhelming our students, or honestly, ourselves. We constantly hear that tech is the absolute future of learning. But today, we're looking at a brand new study out of Nepal that, well, it completely flips the script on what we think we know about AI and math achievement. Literally, this data is going to change how we look at our daily teaching strategies.
Listen to this, team. We usually just assume that throwing more digital resources at a problem is going to fix it. It's so tempting, isn't it? You see a kid struggling with fractions, so you just point them to a digital tutor or some AI practice quiz. But what if we're actually making things worse? We seriously have to ask ourselves, is giving our kids more screen time actually hurting their math scores? Let's look at the reality on the ground here.
We all know the struggle in our classrooms, and frankly, the stakes could not be higher. Right now, only 28% of students in Nepal meet baseline proficiency in mathematics. Just 28%. I mean, that is a staggering number. And it perfectly illustrates why educators and policymakers everywhere are so desperate for some kind of digital silver bullet. We just want AI to be that bridge that closes this massive learning gap. But as you'll see from a recent survey of over 800 students across 13 schools in Kathmandu, the solution definitely isn't just handing out tablets and hoping for the best.
So when researchers actually asked those students how they feel about these tools, they found a super fascinating split. It turns out nearly half the students, about 49.4% to be exact, only have a moderate acceptance of AI, and another 15% completely low acceptance. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells us our students aren't just universally embracing AI. Not at all. They're actually approaching it with some real hesitation. They might scroll social media for hours on end, but when it comes to leveraging AI for a complex algebra problem, they're unsure if it's reliable, or they just kind of don't know how to prompt it correctly.
And when we break down that hesitation, you can clearly see distinct patterns based on things like, perceived usefulness, ease of use, and just their overall attitude towards AI. For the students with only moderate acceptance, their belief that AI is actually useful for math totally plummets compared to the high acceptance group. It really proves that without our direct pedagogical guidance, these tools just sit there. Or honestly worse, they become a source of profound frustration. A kid really needs to believe the tool is both easy to use and genuinely helpful. Otherwise, the technology isn't a tool, it's just another obstacle in the classroom.
Okay, but here is the real plot twist in the research. How much time should our students actually spend on these devices? Well, the data shows that 1 to 2 hours of daily digital use absolutely boosts math scores. It gives them access to interactive exercises, immediate feedback, all that good stuff. But, and this is a massive but, anything over 2 hours actively damages their grades. Yeah, you heard that right. Excessive use has a counterintuitive, totally negative correlation with their math achievement. Literally, more time staring at the screen does not equal more learning.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this inverted U effect. Think of it like a Goldilocks zone for tech use. The inverted U hypothesis basically tells us that digital engagement supports math learning only up to an optimal threshold. Once you push students past that 2-hour mark, bam, they hit a wall of what we call technostress. Technostress is what happens when the cognitive load of managing, multiple tabs, notifications, and clunky AI interfaces totally overwhelms their working memory. It leads to multitasking and diminished attention, sapping the exact mental energy they desperately need to solve a complex math problem.
So how do we fix this in our own lesson plans tomorrow? We have to step up as the pedagogical guides, not just content providers. We really need to enforce that 1 to 2 hour time limit. Think of it like turning over an hourglass on their screen time to protect their focus. Plus, we've got to make sure AI is just one puzzle piece that pairs securely with offline critical thinking. We're talking about combining those AI-generated practice questions with your own teacher-led, project-based discussions. That way our students actually grasp the concepts instead of just, mindlessly copying and pasting answers.
And look, for any of the administrators and policymakers listening to this explainer, simply dumping tech into schools just isn't going to cut it anymore. We need highly structured investments. We absolutely have to prioritize equitable Wi-Fi access and build low-bandwidth AI platforms that actually work in rural areas. And most importantly, we need to fund massive capacity building for our teachers. Because if we aren't establishing regional development centers and integrating digital literacy straight into the official math curriculum, all this incredible technology is never going to reach its full potential to help our kids.
I want to leave all of you with a thought to mull over in the staff room today. If we know for a fact that excessive screen time is actively hurting our kids' math scores, what exact steps are you going to take to balance the scales? Knowing this 2-hour tipping point, how are you going to redesign your digital math assignments for tomorrow?
It is totally in our hands to make sure AI actually serves the learning rather than just distracting from it.